I'm going to talk to you today about what happens in this course now that we have finished all six of our case study countries. In other words, I'm going to give you an overview of Unit 5, which will take you through from now through the end of the year. In Unit 5, I have basically two goals. The first one, whether or not you're taking the AP exam for this class, is to review concepts and content. For those of you who are taking the AP exam, we are going to wrap up this review by May 28th, which is the date of the test. For those of you who are not, you're still going to work on that same timeline, and my hope is that this review will allow you to consolidate some knowledge and to take something away beyond this course even after you finish high school. The other goal for this unit is to allow you to start applying the knowledge, the concepts, the vocabulary that you've learned in this class to some kind of new situation. That might be considering questions about our six case study countries that you haven't had before. That might be taking that knowledge and figuring out how to teach it to other students to pay it forward. Or it might be to take that knowledge and apply it to a different case study country or to a country that you're going to invent. But I'll talk through those options a little bit later. First, I want to let you know that you are going to continue to have that rhythm of daily homework, daily quizzes, but it's going to look a little bit different because I am done assigning you readings. Instead, what's going to happen when you look in your reading guide, it'll have scare quotes around the word reading, is you will see daily assignments that look something like this. It's going to give you a topic, it's going to give you a list of vocabulary, and it's going to give you a link to a quiz. Right? So the first thing that you want to note is the list of terms to review. I have selected some terms which should be familiar to you. They should appear somewhere in your notebook or your textbook or your class notes or the recesses of your brain. And your job is going to be to review those terms. And I'll talk about what to do and what not to do with those terms in a second. There's also going to be a quiz that continues. I assume that at this point you are doing quizzes kind of robotically, automatically in your sleep. And so I'm not going to put that habit to waste in the last couple weeks of the semester. Couple suggestions about how to do this right and make it not a total waste of your time, my time, or your classmates' time. There's two options for how you might want to go about these assignments. One way is to do it in the order that it appears on the sheet, which is to first review the terms, then take the quiz, kind of like you would for an ordinary reading assignment, except you are just studying instead of reading new stuff. The alternative possibility is actually to do it backwards, to take the quiz and then review the terms. Because there are some indications for some people, I think you have developed a study strategy where what really works for you is to try and challenge your knowledge and then take what was difficult or take the questions that you got wrong and say, now I can figure out what I really need to work on versus I got these questions right. I think I'm probably good with these terms, so I can focus my efforts on the terms that I really do need to work on. However, there are some pitfalls of this approach, especially with that second one. And so I'm just going to give you a couple of don'ts. First, please don't skim through these lists and be like, unicameral, that sounds kind of familiar. I think I know it. Let's move on. Right? Um, don't gloss over a word just because you know that you have heard of it before. You should have heard of pretty much all of these words before. You need to go a little bit deeper than that. Right? In order to have really studied, in order to be really prepared for any given lesson, in order to really understand any given topic, it's not enough to just look at a word and kind of faintly nod your head in recognition the way you do when you see somebody on the street that you're not quite sure who it is. You have to actually be able to use that word. You have to apply that word. You have to make connections between that word and the other vocabulary in this review and in this course. You have to be able to find some examples of the word. You have to be able to think about how I might use that word in a test question or in a review question or in a discussion or in an argument. But you want to be able to actually use this vocabulary and not just glance at it and say, it seems kind of familiar. I think I'm good to go. The second thing that I would recommend not doing is practicing definitions alone, right? It can be helpful to have flashcards or a Quizlet set or something where you just have the terms on one side and definitions on the other side. But if all you can do with this list is just kind of recite the dictionary definitions, then you're not necessarily going to be able to actually use those words in the way that we have to do in CompGov. A reminder that defining terms or identifying the definitions of terms is a pretty small percentage of what you need to do in order to be successful in this course. So do practice the definitions. They're important. They're a baseline for understanding, but also practice examples, practice applications. Think about the kind of fuzziness in the definitions of these terms. I'll remind you probably a few times in the next couple of weeks that life doesn't fit very neatly into clear conceptual buckets. So make sure that you can use those terms in the context of the information that you have learned this semester. Finally, What you really, really, really don't want to do is take the quiz, say, I got questions 2 and 5 wrong. Question 2 was about regime. Question 5 was about a semi-presidential system. So I'm just going to make flashcards of those two terms. The purpose of this review is not just to get you done with the quiz. And if you think that you're going to face that temptation to just study the questions that you got wrong on the quiz, then you should probably study the terms first and take the quiz second, right? Your goal is not just to get a couple questions wrong and then mop up by reviewing really, really selectively. Your goal is to feel like you have a really clear understanding of all of the terms on this list, of all of the concepts that are relevant, of the ways in which these terms relate to each other, of the ways in which they apply in the real world. And you're going to miss out on a whole bunch of that if you are focused exclusively on the quiz. The quizzes are designed to target the most important, the most fundamental, and the most basic aspects of each day's review topic, but they're not the only thing that you should be focusing on. And so if you think that you are going to succumb to this temptation to focus on the quiz content rather than the vocabulary list and the concepts behind it, then you should take option one and you should do the review first and then the quiz. When you get to class, having taken your review quiz, having studied your list of terms in the order that feels most useful to you, every day I'm going to divide our time roughly evenly between some review activities based on what you should have studied the previous day for homework, and then about 30 minutes of time to work on your final projects, which I'll talk about in a second. During that work time, if you're working with a partner, you might have time to go off into a breakout room or to sit in the corner and work with them. You should definitely have time to check in with me. And sometimes I'll pull you, sometimes I'll just be available to come around and help whoever needs help. And often I will ask some people or all people to share out something that they've accomplished and often try and connect it to that day's topic for review. So just know during class, you should expect a split of some guided review activities with the whole class or in small groups, and then some opportunities to work on your final project. Those final projects are going to be due on the last day of the week of May 24th. We have a weird schedule that week because of MCAS. Period 4, that your last day that week is going to be Thursday, the 27th of May. That's when your project is due. Period 1, your last day is going to be Friday, the 28th of May. And if you are one of those people who times your project submissions down to the last minute, I'm going to try and avoid expressing judgment here. You should just know that the class start times are going to be different that day. So take a look at the schedule. It's linked in my unit schedules. Just know that that whole week is going to have odd schedules because of MCAS administration. So don't count on your project being due at the usual time. Double check the schedule. I'm going to tell you just very briefly about your project options. Your goal, I'll give you the description, the full instructions for all these projects to read, and you should read them over the weekend. But let me just preview your options for you. So there are going to be 4 options for your final project. You're going to pick one of them. The choice will ultimately be yours, but I reserve the right to strongly intervene if I think that the choice you're making is not suited to whatever you were planning to do this month with respect to taking or not taking the AP exam. There are 2 options, which are fundamentally about extending your knowledge in this course and applying it to a new situation, whether real or fictitious. These extension options are best suited for people who are not planning to take the AP CompGov exam on May 28th. One of those options is to research a 7th case study country. It cannot be the United States. It cannot be any of the 6 that we did in this course. And it does have to be an actual country. If you think that there will be some uncertainty about this, you should probably be negotiating with me sooner rather than later. But you're going to present essentially a textbook style report on a 7th case study country. You should be prepared to explain that to some or all of your classmates. And you should basically be prepared to answer all the questions that you need to be able to answer about our 6 case study countries. For that option, you can work by yourself or you can work with a partner, and you should expect a higher volume of work assigned to you. You should expect more requirements if you're going to work with a partner. That's true for every partnership option in this final project unit. Option number 2 is going to be to create a state. You're going to invent your own Lamistan. You explicitly may not call it Lamistan. That's the only name that I have reserved. But you're going to make up a state. This is a more creative option, although it is going to require you to continue applying that fairly technical vocabulary that you should have for real countries that actually exist. Again, with that one, you can work by yourself or with a partner, and you should prepare to be able to present it to your classmates in the last week before seniors graduate. The other two options are better suited for people who are planning to take the AP exam, although they're not foreclosed to you if you prefer these options and you're not taking the AP exam, but they're designed to consolidate your knowledge, and if you're taking that test, get you ready for it. Option number 3 is going to be to create 3 review videos to try and take the model of the videos that I've been occasionally delivering, the lectures that I've occasionally been recording throughout this course. You're going to tie them down to some specific concepts, and if you choose this option, you'll need to do a little digging through the course and exam description from the College Board to figure out what your topic options are. I'm happy to help with that. But you're going to create 3 videos, about 10 minutes each, in roughly the same format as you're looking at right now. So if you have been sitting here watching my YouTube channel thinking, I could probably do this better, and if I were teaching this course, I would have like 5,000 subscribers by now and a lot of adoring comments from people who are probably robots, this is the choice for you. Finally, you can write an exam. You can just write the free response section and the corresponding scoring guide for an AP CompGov exam. This option is going to be tricky if you are interested in kind of spending some time dissecting and breaking down the minutia of the AP exam. This is definitely the best option for you. And if you are a budding future teacher or you just like torturing people, this option will probably be enjoyable for you. You'll need some support from me because there's some kind of technical vocabulary about how to do this right. But if you're interested specifically in exam prep, option 4 is going to give you a perspective on the AP exam that students often don't get while they're still in high school. We will select topics, and if applicable, we will select partners. None of these projects requires you to work with a partner, but many of them give you the option to work with a partner in class on Monday, May 10th. So that's pretty soon after you are watching this video. What that means is that you need to read through those project options. You can find the link in the Unit 5 schedule. You need to come prepared with any questions that you need to ask. I'll dedicate some time for Q&A. And if you are thinking about working with a partner, you might want to reach out for them. I'll try and make a little time for you guys to talk with each other in class about forming partnerships on Monday. But your topics, your review options, and your partners need to be locked down by the end of class on Monday the 10th. That's going to be your exit ticket that day. So please come to class prepared. You do not want to be in a situation where you fill out that exit ticket at the end of class, and then you suddenly realize that the project that you selected is not actually the project you want to do, because by that point it will be too late. Okay, last word, just a guiding principle. I often have students who, not necessarily through any fault of their own, come to review sessions in my course or preparing for the AP exam and expect that what is going to happen is that they're going to sit there and I'm just going to tell them everything that they need to know about that day's topic. That's not how this is going to work. In order to get anything out of these classes, you have to put in the preparation work, because it's not a particularly good use of our time together for me to sit there telling things that you have already learned, for me to just deliver information to you. It doesn't actually make your brain do anything. So you have to do that work of relearning this factual information in order for our time together to be productive, right? I have taken all the AP exams I'm ever going to take in my life. And so it doesn't necessarily matter whether I tell you stuff, right? I can't carry this on my own. You have to be prepared for these classes in order to get anything out of it yourself and in order to enrich your classmates' experience and make the entire thing something other than torturous. So as you are doing these homework assignments, please bear in mind that what you are doing is not just checking a box that is important for your completion grade in Aspen, but also preparing yourself to be useful in class, to yourself, to your classmates, to me. That's it. Spend some time reading those project options, please, and I will look forward to seeing you on Monday.